if you voted for Donald Trump and me, or if you voted for Donald Trump and voted Democratic down ballot, I would really love to hear from you. This is not a place of judgment. I'm not gonna like put your stuff on blast or anything like that or dunk on it. That's like genuinely not the intent here. I actually want to learn from you. I want to hear what you were thinking.
Following Kamala Harris's decisive loss last week, Representative Ocasio-Cortez wanted to get some answers on how it could be that some of the voters in her district could cast their ballots for her, but vote for Donald Trump for president. Now, AOC's district swung to Trump by one of the highest margins among New York voters. And it's pretty big, it's a big deal. So in 2020, Trump won 22% of the vote in AOC's district compared to Joe Biden's 77%. Harris did not fare nearly as well. Support for Trump jumped to 33%, and support for Harris dropped to 65%. Now, AOC won overwhelmingly again last week. She's still very popular in her district. She earned about 68.9% of the vote, and that's just a slight dip from 2020 when she won 71.6% of the vote. Now, she complied and shared some of the responses that she got to her Instagram question, and here's what people told her. One person said, "It's real simple, Trump and you care for the working class." Another wrote, "Harris was more for rights than the economy, and when she talked about it, she didn't have a plan." Another person says, "You are focused on the real issues people care about, similar to Trump populism in some ways." Most of the responses that AOC shared mentioned the fact that she and Donald Trump are considered outsider politicians who aren't part of the establishment. One person says, I voted Trump, but I like you and Bernie. I don't trust either party's establishment politicians." One other person says, "You signified change, Trump signified change. I've said lately, Trump sounds more like you." And then this is so depressing because others said that their vote had to do with Gaza. And I definitely empathize. The whole situation in Gaza led me to absolutely despise the Biden administration, and that will never change. But Trump isn't gonna be any better, and I've always been real about that too. Nonetheless, one person wrote into AOC saying, "I voted for Trump and you, not genocide Harris. Dems need Bernie." Another person says, "Trump speaks of war as something that is bad. Democrats became the party that supports war." So Cenk.
Yeah, so you know what I really wonder is if this is news to her. Because if it's not news to her and this is a way that she chose to highlight going populist and outsider, then it's actually really well played. Because it got a lot of press attention and who voted for AOC and Trump? That's such an interesting story, right? And so she framed that really well, and then she delivers a message that's important for mainstream media to hear, which is, yeah, it's populism, it's outsiders. And the message they most don't want to hear, which is that the country voted against them, the insiders, right? Both mainstream media and the Democratic establishment. So, but it's also possible that she didn't know that at all because she spent the last 6 years in Washington and has been consumed by that. And so it's like, oh wow, because we're both outsiders. Okay, I get it now. Because she's lived in that world she's been so ensconced in that bubble that she might not realize that at all. It might have been giant news to her. And honestly, I don't know which way it goes. But look, if she got to the right place and now realized it, either way, I'd like to give her more credit if it was like a piece of strategy, right? But either way, if she got here now, good. Now the next step is the most important step. Are you then going to follow up by challenging the establishment?
Okay, that's a great question. And that's where I want to weigh in, because AOC should see this and the reactions and responses that she received from her constituents as putting her on notice. Because especially in the last 2 years, AOC has been absorbed by the Democratic establishment. She has been willing to play ball with the Democratic establishment. I mean, and look, to be quite frank, AOC's previous reputation stays with her. And that previous reputation was that of a disruptor, an individual who's an outsider who has managed to infiltrate the establishment. But more and more, she has presented herself as part of the establishment, as someone who thinks that she can play ball with these corporate Democrats and somehow use that as a way of influencing them and the policies that they end up passing. That doesn't work, it just doesn't. And so she should see this as a warning. If your constituents catch on to the fact that you're now, trying to play ball with the establishment Democrats, the corporate Democrats, they're gonna treat you the same way they treat other establishment Democrats. You get what I'm saying?
Of course I do. I mean, look, in this case, I was there from the beginning, and I know that when we first started Just Democrats, and we heavily emphasized AOC, we all thought she was an outsider who was really brave and willing to take on the establishment. And then when she got elected, she did in the beginning, and she rejected money from Nancy Pelosi and did it without asking anyone else about it. And it was wonderfully brave and terrific. And then she did the sit-in Nancy Pelosi's office, and she got intensely popular from being the outsider populist, right? And then from then on, a blip here and there where she would slightly disagree with her beloved colleagues in the Congress. They're so important. They go to lunch all the time. Their feelings are so precious. So she barely challenged them. She's been riding off that. And by the way, what has allowed her to ride that populist sentiment that she originally accumulated rightly, right? Because ironically, since she didn't question the establishment media were like, oh, good. Oh, she is a great outsider, because now they realize she's not doing much. She's not
much of an outsider.
So that's a perfect thing to have a symbol of change on the outside, continuity on the inside, right? So I know for a fact that she left that attitude behind, like basically fired everyone who was a populist inside her, congressional office, and decided to get comfortable. So if she gets her feelings hurt about that, that's okay. My job is truth telling. And another great thing for her is she could totally embarrass me and go back to being a populist and prove me wrong.
Oh no, please don't embarrass Cenk.
Oh boy, I will be humiliated. No, and so please, can you now go back to fighting the establishment? And so the proof is gonna be in the pudding, guys. So when they come around, if she's like, oh, of course, Hakeem Jeffries, Chuck Schumer, wonderful leaders, they're terrific. I trust Hakeem. Trust Hakeem's my new thing, because trust Biden was, right? And we're going to just do resistance, fake resistance, not actually fighting your own party to get paid family leave pass, $15 minimum wage, all the things that they threw under the bus, and you didn't criticize them at all when they threw under the bus. So who's the real AOC? I don't know. I know who she used to be. Was a terrific person and a rebel and an outsider. I know who she is now, but who is she going to be in this next term and for the rest of her career? And that's going to be a pivotal question for her.
And as she makes that decision, she should keep in mind that this election offered the strongest and sharpest rebuke of Democratic leadership that I've seen in my career in my adult life. Donald Trump won the popular vote. Like, let that sink in. That is sharp rebuke. Now, AOC also gave her own evaluations of the election, and she said something that I did not expect her to say, because she has definitely leaned into this brain rot. So one of her followers on Instagram asked, do you buy the argument that woke loses elections like saying Latinx? Let's hear what she had to say.
Personally, I don't. I think that a lot of voters really don't like fake people, and they're sick and tired of fake politicians. And so what I actually think is worse is saying something you don't believe. And so if during the entire time in campaign season, you're saying that you're down with trans people or like the LGBT community, and then you lose an election, and then the next day you say all that stuff was wrong. I actually think what people are more upset about is someone was doing something they didn't believe and just saying something. I will say that I do think that there are some things that the left and that an activist left can do to ensure that they remain committed and disciplined, that we remain committed and disciplined to growing a mass movement. And there are pockets of the left that are sometimes the most amplified online that are built on a policing structure and culture. And those elements can drive people away, put them off, etc. I think we saw a lot of that this year.
Yeah, you've been one of them. We've seen that from you. Like, what are we gonna pretend like?
Yeah, it's unbelievable. No, now I'm angry. Okay,
what do you think set, like, part of what set me off in writing that tweet that upset so many people about the birthing person, like, first of all, you're starting to hear it in real life, like with doctors that you have to see, right? It's like, I've been seeing you forever, you know I'm a woman, like, okay. But then, as women are losing their reproductive rights, you have AOC using birthing persons, like in her tweets about it.
No, that's what started the whole thing. She went on CNN and called them birthing persons. And then everybody pretended that she didn't. And that no one says it. So, okay, look, it was one of those phrases that she used. Look, first, again, fairest show in America. First, let me give her credit for something she's totally right about in that video. People do hate the fake politicians. And AOC appears more genuine. Bernie actually is more genuine. Rashida Tlaib is more genuine. And so that is very helpful. She's telling the Democratic Party something that's true, and they should listen to her about that. Now, when she starts saying, oh, people were policing language too much, are you really gonna pretend that wasn't you? Are you really gonna pretend that? Because look, guys, again, go back to the founding of Just Democrats, and the people who deserve a tremendous amount of credit that never get the credit, by the way, is the Young Turks audience that raised enough money so that they could win. So we weren't the only ones, but you were a huge part of that equation. And what you wanted was very clear because you signed petitions of the Progressive Pledge, etc. And what you wanted was economic populism. But economic populism is really hard because all of her colleagues are corrupt. So when you go to do, hey, let's lower drug prices, almost all of our colleagues in the House take an enormous amount of money from the drug companies, and they don't want to lower the drug prices, or they'll do it for one drug or 10 drugs and leave 10,000 behind. And okay, but calling that out will get you in a lot of trouble. Then you're not a team player, etc. What's safe but makes you seem like you're a populist fighter? Oh, I'm gonna go woke left, I'm gonna go identitarian left. I'm fighting for all of the, these different ethnic groups and demographic groups, and I'm fighting against language that's hurtful, etc. The Democrats go, oh, that's great, that doesn't hurt your colleagues at all. That just starts a culture war that distracts people while we rob the place blind. That's actually helpful to the establishment Democrats and Republicans to start culture wars. And if she's pretending she didn't, okay, I mean, look, this one gets a little personal, but nevertheless, I've been fair to her, more than fair to her, throughout the entire thing. She was one of the people who helped to take me out of the Just Democrats when I founded the group, named the group, etc. Raised money for the group, gave tons of marketing to the group because of a joke I made about myself 20 years ago.
Literally.
Literally, okay? And she pretended that it was a joke against women. And she pretended that she was, I don't know, maybe she was deeply offended. And she thought hey, you know what? When you were a Republican, you made one joke or two jokes I didn't like, you should be canceled, right? Now, all of a sudden, she's not doing that. All of a sudden, she's the wise one telling people, don't do that kind of political correctness and cancel culture.
We're building coalitions, Cenk.
Yeah, really? All I've seen in this, look, man, we've empowered so many people through TYT, whether they were progressive politicians, progressive hosts, etc. Dozens and dozens, actually by now, hundreds of different candidates that we've helped, different progressives online that we've helped. And what has been our thanks from people like AOC, the minute they make it to the top, they go, that's it, I'm not good. So now the new standard is, hey, can they withstand a Joe Rogan interview? Which, by the way, is the softest interview ever. No, they won't even go on independent media shows that are on their side. You know why? You wanna know why? Because they're embarrassed about their record and they can't defend it. If you said to me, flipped our positions, I'm in Congress and she's doing the Young Turks. Hey, are you afraid to go get challenged by AOC and Anna? You know me, I wouldn't be afraid because I'd be fighting for you guys. And I would love to defend my position, and you see me doing it now. I go on right-wing shows, I go on establishment shows, I go on every kind of show because we have a position to defend and we're proud of it, right? But nope, dropped like a bad habit. Every progressive that helped her, everybody that, nope. And now, look, I'm okay, look, you could argue that I shouldn't have covered up that story or the other stories that hurt her because I was trying to help the movement. I gave every opportunity, right? Please challenge the establishment. Please fight them. Please fight your colleagues. Please understand that your colleagues are not our allies. They're corrupt politicians that are destroying this country. No. I gotta get positive press. But now when she pretends that she was not part of that cancel culture, that she was not the one egging people on to police people's language, etc. That's too much to bear. Sorry, that was not true at all. And it doesn't matter if she goes on whichever shows. Okay, keep going on CNN, keep your new establishment media friends. As long as you're doing change on the outside, but continuity on the inside, they'll love you forever. So you can enjoy them. Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR, so those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.